Welcome to Awakening Within. I'm your host, Jill McPherson. I want to start today's show by explaining that there are many reasons why we do this show. One is that we want to share with the viewers ways in which you can create a better, more fulfilling life. The people who sit in my guest chair have powerful messages to share on self-awareness, healing, compassion, and ways we can make the world a better place. Well, my next guest is doing more than her share of making the world a better place. Her name is Anne Marie Montgomery. She's a high school teacher who is not only doing all she can to make the world better for countless teenagers, but she is also doing what she can to make the world a better place for countless children in primary school in Africa. She's here with me now to tell us more about this fascinating story of compassion and generosity. Welcome, Anne Marie.
Thank you so much.
So I was really fascinated when I heard this story. You have a connection with a school in Africa. So let's just start from the beginning. How on earth did a high school teacher in Southern Ontario find herself overseeing the financial responsibilities of a school in Africa? So take us from the start.
From the start, I actually started going to Africa when I was 16, so when I was in high school myself. And I had the opportunity to travel to Nigeria through a medical mission trip. And it was actually through a youth group at the time that I went, and we went for 2 weeks. And I kind of fell in love with the culture and the people and giving back with people who had so little and were so happy. So my love for Africa really started when I was in high school myself. And I knew that when I left that time that I would go back many times.
And where did you go specifically in Africa?
So I went to Nigeria the first time, so West Coast Africa, and a kind of dangerous country,
right?
But with lovely, lovely people if you got to know them one-on-one.
Right.
So started there, and then when I was in university, I decided I really wanted to go back, and through a friend, I found a hostel in Tanzania, which is where my story kind of unravels from there,
right? That
allowed you to go and stay there and volunteer at any organization in the area that you felt a connection or an interest in. And so I got to travel in Tanzania and look through different organizations that I was interested in, and I just fell in love with this little primary school in Arusha, which is a small city, and had to travel a little bit outside of Arusha to Tengeru, where the little primary school is.
Wow. So, but you went there first to the hostel not knowing what you were going to be doing.
No.
But this program hosts people in this hostel so that you can figure out where you can reach out to volunteer.
Exactly. So you go there and you know that there are medical placements or placements in schools or placements in orphanages, but they really want you to go there and find where your heart kind of matches up and which place you feel passionate about. So you can choose. Yeah.
Right. So you find this primary school. So then what did you do as far as volunteering?
So I found this primary school and I became a volunteer teacher right away. And I was working with the kids and just teaching them English and math and sciences, which meant I was there every day for 3 weeks from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and really just took over because the school didn't have enough staff on, so they really relied on volunteers to be teaching different classes at the school.
Right. And the teachers they do have, is there any sort of education or qualification for those teachers?
Yes. So they are actual teachers, and they had to go through the education system there. And there's usually 4 to 5 classes and about 3 teachers that are permanent.
Right.
So obviously that doesn't have all the kids covered, so they rely on us.
Right, so you're in there teaching. And when you say every day, was it like 5 days a week or 7 days a week?
Yeah, 5 days a week.
So it's 5 days a week, yeah. And so they have an 8 to 1, I think you said, schedule, right?
Yeah.
So you're helping them with that. So how long did you do that for?
So my first time there, I was just volunteering at this school, and I did it for 3 weeks.
Right, and you fell in love with the
Fell in love with the school, yeah.
Right, yeah. So you decide you'll go back.
So then I decided I would go back, and the second time I went back, I went to the same school because I knew some of the students were still there, and I got to see them again, which was awesome. But I just loved the community of the school and how happy the kids were, and my heart kind of was left there when I left Tanzania. So I went back, and after that time, I did the same thing, volunteered in a classroom. I was there for 3 weeks as well that time. And after that, I came home, and that's when I realized that I couldn't stop thinking about the school while I was back here. and that I felt like I needed to do something more. And that's the time that my best friends and I, who'd also traveled to Africa, we call it the post-African depression, where you come back and you just feel like, how can I erase those memories and slide back into my normal life?
Right.
So that's when we decided we needed to make some sort of change.
Right. It's that post almost traumatic from traveling in a different culture, different experience, and then integrating back into our own day-to-day living. It was a struggle, I hear.
It is a struggle, yeah, because you're there and you are immersed in poverty, really, but with the happiest people that you've seen in a really long time.
Wow.
With so little. And then you come back here to this really materialistic world where we have access to food and water and shelter and everything that we could possibly imagine. And
at our fingertips.
People are miserable.
Right.
So it was this weird thing where you just had to reevaluate what you could do to kind of not lose that connection.
Right.
With Tanzania. And
yeah, because it was life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you're sitting with your girlfriends talking about this sort of post-African trip depression. And what are you going to do with it? So that's what I love, because you could just sort of go, oh, well, we'll carry on.
Yeah.
But what did you decide then?
So it was funny because I always tell this story, and it was really just us sitting around eating popcorn and thinking, how can we do something? And it started with, well, what if we just start fundraising money? And what if we just plan a few events? And we came up with the Bahati Project. So that's the organization that we run in Canada that supports 3 different organizations in Tanzania. And Bahati, we just were Googling what are some Swahili words that relate to the project, and Bahati means success. And so our whole idea was bringing success and happiness to our projects that we're supporting in Tanzania. And we just made a website and decided to do a movie night fundraiser, and then after that, what was the next fundraiser and the next fundraiser, and it kind of just unraveled from there.
Wow. And we will hear more about this and where this all leads to when we come back from the break. Welcome back to the show. I'm so glad you tuned in. If you have ever wondered how you can make a difference in the world, then you'll want to listen in on this conversation. I have with me high school teacher and changemaker Anne Marie Montgomery, who at the age of 28 is also the international director of the Tengeru Village Development Centre in Tanzania, Africa. Anne Marie, I am so excited you're here. What an inspiring story.
Thank you.
So we left off with just the story of how you came to be this international director of a school in Africa. So tell us more about how that final connection was made.
Right, so after we started the Bahati Project, we were fundraising for a couple of different projects in Tanzania, but the one that was closest to my heart was the village school. And I just decided to go back again because I love it there, and I'm a teacher, so summers I have the opportunity to travel. And the next time that I went to Africa, I was volunteering at the school, and I found out that the international director was quitting. So at the time, the Bahati Project was fundraising about 50% of the funds for the school, but it was still struggling. Mm-hmm. So I was there, and the children at the school get 2 meals per day, and they get an education, and they get health checks and vitamins. And while I was literally in Africa, I was told that they were going to be shutting it down. Mm. So for me, heart-wrenching. And I'm an educator, so obviously I value education, but more so the fact that these kids wouldn't be getting 2 meals per day, and I knew that a lot of their meals that they had were at the school. I couldn't watch it fail or stop. So it was a long conversation with my mom, who was in Africa at the same time, and I just decided that I needed to step up and become this international director. And it was scary because that means that I was solely responsible for the funding of it, but I just knew that the funds would find themselves. So.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. So that's, at such a young age to decide that you can do that. And that has happened. How long has this been going on now?
So I've been the international director for almost 3 years.
Wow.
Now. Yeah. And we struggle sometimes. It's not like it's always perfect, but the funds have come, and people have just stepped up at the right time. And Our schools that we work at in Ontario have been a really big help, which has been awesome because students here have been able to step up and feel like they make a difference at a school somewhere else in the world, which is pretty empowering as well.
So let's let the viewers get an idea of what the school's about.
Perfect.
So you brought in a video that you took of just kind of giving a tour.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what
they're seeing.
Yeah.
So it's just a phone on or a video on my iPhone, but you walk through the gates and that's pretty much what you walk through every day, except for usually there's 60 kids running at you. And you get to see the little area where they eat their meals, and you get to see our garden for vegetables and our cooking area. And then I just wanted people to see the school grounds. It's not very big, but there is playground equipment for them. There's a slide and some swings and some teeter-totters, and you get to go into each classroom and kind of see the students. So.
Right. And the benches outside, is there sort of some outdoor class as well? Is that what that, or
not
that
really. That's where they eat.
Oh,
so they get to all sit together and eat there.
And then they have classes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you also brought a little video of you reading to them. And I think it's a great demonstration of how happy they are.
I know. And I think when people ask me, why do I do this? This video is the perfect example as to why I do it. Because you can watch them giggling away to this storybook that is silly, but they're just like the kids here, right? Mm-hmm. So similar.
Yeah, so happy.
Mm-hmm.
So for the viewers, if they want to be able to help support you with that, what would be some of the things that they could do to help you support you on this amazing mission you're on?
So you can get involved a number of ways with the project. We have fundraisers all the time. So first of all, coming out to events, if you're in the local area, that's always supportive.
Which is Orangeville
area and surrounding. And those are always posted on our website. Right. And then we also have the opportunity for people to sponsor a child. So that's $25 a month, and you get updates on your students with pictures and newsletters and everything. And that provides them with their breakfast and lunch and their tuition and school supplies.
So for $25, that takes care of their whole month's education.
Yeah. I know, it's crazy.
Wow.
And then, of course, if anyone wanted to donate monetarily, any donation really helps, to be honest. Money goes a lot further there. We often have people who like to donate goods, which I love when dentists donate toothbrushes and things like that. There are some struggles with getting things across the border. We've been stopped at the border crossing a few times with things, but we do take donations that way as well. The cool thing about monetary donations is that when you're there, you get to actually infuse the money back into the local community by buying whatever we need to for the school while we're actually in Tanzania, which is kind of like a win-win.
Right. So, but you're here in Canada most of the time, so you have somebody assigned who's, you send the money to supervise, to make sure that the school is run. Is that
absolutely? Yeah. I have an on-site director. She's amazing. She's fluent in English and checks in and does all the shopping and the books and pays staff and everything for me. So.
And how many staff would you have?
So we have 6 staff members. We actually have 4 teachers now, so hopefully 1 per classroom. And we have a cook, and then we have like a maintenance lady.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so can I ask, like, how much a month do you need to come up with to keep the school going?
$1,800 a month, and that is really budgeting. So we have to budget quite a bit because $1,800 a month is a lot of money to come up with. So,
right.
Yeah.
So you and your other friends who have made this project, is that so? But $1,800 is just for your school, for the school, not the other projects that you're fundraising for.
Right. So $1,800 is for my school, and then if we have extras, we continue to donate to the Women's Safe House and the orphanage that we sponsor as well. And it's mostly through fundraisers. We do a lot of fundraisers. We do a lot of sponsoring. We have great sponsors that way, always looking for more, obviously. And then at the end of the month, if there's more month than money, then we have to take care of it. So.
Great, great. Well, we've got the website information coming up on the screen as well. And for our viewers who want to look into sponsoring or supporting Anne Marie on this amazing mission, please don't hesitate to check that out, and we'll be right back. Thanks for tuning in. If you have ever wondered what you can do to make the world a better place, then listen in. My guest today did not just wonder, she has decided to do all she can to make a difference. And my hope is that you find her story inspiring and will motivate you to ask, what am I doing to make a difference in the world? So Anne Marie, tell me what belief system a person must have at the age of, I mean, this started for you at 25, really, if it's been 3 years. 25, early in your career, probably not a lot of financial surplus sitting around, and you decide you can be the international director to be the sole person who directs and supports financially a school in Africa. What mindset or belief system must you have to be able to do that kind of thing?
I know, it sounds crazy. I think really just knowing that it's going to work out and that the universe has your back. And for me, I've always wanted to do something bigger than just living day to day and clocking in and out of work. And so I know that there's all of these issues in Tanzania and at my school. And I've always followed this quote, which seems super cliche, but Gandhi's like, be the change you wish to see in the world. And so I knew that the school was closing, and I didn't want that to happen. And so I just decided I would take it on, and I knew that everything else would figure itself out. And I asked for support from friends, and slowly through this process and just my journey in the last 3 years of life, I've ended up meeting people who are inspired and want to help. And it's honestly so funny, but at times where I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pay next month's bill, and someone will randomly say, hey, I've heard your story on Facebook or through a friend. How can I help? So
right.
it's, yeah, just
so
trusting.
ask and you shall receive.
Yeah.
Right, you're open and it comes. So, and does it feel like there was, no accidents or coincidence that you just happened to show up when the international director is stepping down?
I know, it's funny. The whole thing, and I was talking about this earlier today, but I just feel like I was meant to do this, and I could have chosen any school too, and obviously I was meant to be at that school, and then I was meant to go back, and then I was meant to be there when it was crumbling. And I think I had to have been there when it was crumbling, because when you remove yourself from the school, there's that separation, and you're not, it's different, right?
Yeah.
So I had to have been there, seeing the kids, interacting with the kids.
To be emotionally so attached to it that you were like, I can't let this go.
Yeah.
That's good. That's great. So for people who are watching, and they might have their own little things of like, I want to be able to make a difference. So what do you offer people who sort of look at you in awe and kind of go like, oh, I don't know how you do it? What do you tell people?
It's funny because I have this conversation with students at school quite a bit, and I just think that it doesn't mean you have to go build a school or run a school in Africa, but you need to find, or hopefully find, something you're passionate about and something that you want to make a difference with, and just do it. Like, get right involved. And it could be something so small, like it could be going to a garbage cleanup that your local community is doing, or it could be volunteering at a shelter, or it could be traveling around the world and giving back, but not waiting for the perfect time and just believing that you can make a difference. Because I think that's another thing that we fear, is that maybe we're not doing enough, or what if it doesn't work, or all of those things, and just believing that if you're going to step forward, that it will happen and work out. But you got to
take the step.
Take the step.
Right. Not sit back and wait, but set the intention, I want to make a difference, and then step ahead.
And do whatever you're passionate about, because when you're doing it with passion, then everything else works itself out.
Right. I love it. I love it. And you apply this to other areas of your life, not just, the school, but tell me about like other areas in your life where you apply the belief it'll all work out.
Oh my goodness, so many things. I feel like teaching is one, right? So everyone said, oh, there's no teaching jobs anymore. And now, I'm a contract teacher, and I love it. And I love being with my kids and interacting with them every day, because I can inspire them as well. I'm also dating someone from Australia, and a lot of people will say, that's never going to work out. But, you just got to try and step forward with things that you believe in and that you love and that you think you're meant to do. So whether that's your career, or what you want to do with volunteering or giving back, or starting a new job, or moving to somewhere new.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I know I really notice that, you know, we really get the results of our beliefs. And if we believe it's going to be tough and hard, we prove ourselves right. And if we believe it's all going to work out and things will, you know, flow and fall into place, then we prove ourselves right in all areas of our life. So it sounds like you're definitely, definitely proving that. Any wishes you have for the school or anything, you know, some of those big dreams that are, you know, are on your list for down the road or whatever that you're keeping in mind that you might want to share?
Yeah, so I always have that. What's the 5-year plan or hope goal for the school? We rent the land that the school is on, so the 5-year plan would be for us to actually be able to buy a plot of land. Now, Canadians can't, but I could entrust my on-site manager and buy the land there in her name and build a school so that we didn't have landlord issues, because there's always that, and be able to expand it. And doing so, I would ideally like to bring a big group of people with me to build the school so that we could do that together and just provide an area for more students to go to school.
Right, because like, is there a waiting list?
Yeah, well, we kind of can only take 60 right now just because of what the building can hold, what we financially can sustain, but there's so much more need than 60 in the village. We just try to see who is the most needy for the school.
And then they attend. And how long does school takes them from what grade to what, or what age to what age?
Yeah, so it's a little bit different with grades, but about age 3 to 7 or 8. And then they have the opportunity to go to the government schools after. They just don't get the food program.
Right, which is so critical.
Yeah.
They get the food and the vitamins there too.
So ideally, I guess, one day.
Right. And again, that's all the manifestation part, right? You know, have a vision, have the goals, believe that it'll happen, you know, be open to receiving.
Yeah.
And trust it's all gonna come together.
Work out.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. So do you have any upcoming events or fundraisers coming up, or things that you do on a regular basis?
We do have a yoga fundraiser. The date isn't totally nailed down, but it will be at the end of June, and that's in Orangeville. So it's just kind of like a yoga in the park, and people can donate and go do that.
Okay. So the viewers can check out your website, because I'm sure you have upcoming events that they can look into being involved in, or looking into doing a sponsorship. I have to say, right here and right now, Anne Marie, I am going to be a monthly sponsor for a student.
Thank you.
I think that I can handle $25 a month, and many other people could too if they maybe didn't go out for breakfast every morning, or it's all pretty easy, isn't it, to just make that happen. I want to thank you for coming in, and thank you for sharing this inspiring story. We wish you all the best on this venture, and that your list of wish lists come true, and that the money and everything keeps flowing to you so you can keep making a difference to these lovely children in Africa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And I thank you, the viewers, for tuning in. And if you want to wake up to making a difference in the world, here's an example, and be open to seeing that and take it one step at a time, right? Thanks for tuning in.